Hey, Christian, nice to see you again here on this event. You asked me what is my key takeaways. I think there's two things for fintechs and for banks. So key takeaways for fintechs is that what we're seeing now is that market is opening up. There's more funds flowing back to fintechs. We also see a clear play for fintechs and banks on how they can coexist. What the things fintechs should focus on is super clear use case for a specific need where they both see something on the short term but also a viable path to being relevant as their fintech grow. For banks, on the other hand, it's also not simple, but we see convergence towards a clear end game. What we see is that AML KYC, of course, that's a natural thing for banks to do. It's not very attractive for fintechs to do. Many banks, including Danske, are building key competence in this space. So, as a company, you need an account, you need to be validated and so on. Banks can do that. Banks can also do all the basic, boring, transaction handling. They typically have all their core financial services that also is super hard for fintechs to do as a whole. So, my point is back to the banks is that what banks can do is that they have the core. We will team up with fintechs to be relevant also in other ecosystems, and together with fintechs, we will make sure that the customers can get their data in their favorite interface. So as a whole, it becomes cheaper and easier and more effective to operate as a customer in this crazy blurriness with fintechs and banks and all these very complicated things you need to navigate as a customer.
My biggest takeaway has been how open everyone has been to collaborate, to innovate. I think that feels kind of unique to the Nordics and maybe even Sweden specifically, how even though there might be players working in the same type of industries or even compete, it feels like there's a kind of a high willingness to actually collaborate to solve tough challenges in the industry. So that's something I'll take with me, that we should focus on innovation rather than kind of just keeping in our own lane all the time.
Hello, Werner Valère here. I've been attending this awesome conference, Stockholm FinTech, and we have really been connecting into the ecosystem. So what I have learned from this event has been the connectivity among the different API solutions out there in the market, and how the old ERP systems are lagging a little bit behind, but they will be skewed out to the side, and then new API solution will come up to the surface, and we will see how that will impact the entire ecosystem within financial software systems. So that's really exciting, and that was the main point I got out from this conference.
So hello, my takeaway from this week's FinTech conference is that a lot of people are debating and discussing if and how Europe should put in a clear vision for the future. A lot of people seems to think that that's missing, and I agree. While other regions in the world have a way more clear vision on where they want to be in a couple of years from now.
So my main takeaway of these 2 days is both the drama, and it's almost been like an episode of House of Cards again. FIDA is dead, long live FIDA. It got killed and now it got brought up into live again. And then the second part that I really take with me is kill your darlings. Focus on the things that really work and do those things really, really well.
It's been an amazing 2 days at Stockholm FinTech Week. My key takeaways, it's amazing to see 47 different countries are represented here. The talk of AI and collaborations has been very interesting and exciting. And the pain points with the regulations, I think those have been really talked about in a very real manner. So it's very interesting to see what's going to come up and what kind of collaborations are going to get set up after this.
So I guess there are some really good key takeaways to take from this Stockholm FinTech Week. My main takeaways are, I think the banks has a really good, really important role to play here. as a sort of facilitator in the background, making sure that the good fintechs that we have out there can do their thing. I also think there's a really exciting area around the cryptocurrencies. Very vibrant discussions going on around that. So I think those are really cool. And also just the amazing amount of cool fintechs that are out there that really could contribute in this fintech environment or the finance industry to make sure that our customers are being served in a even better way. So yeah, really cool day.
It's been great meeting people, obviously from the Nordic regions, as the regulations here on crypto are excelling. Yeah, some of the main takeaways have been some of the talks around stablecoins, which we've really been hot pressed on. But really looking forward to see how the ecosystem evolves here in Sweden, which seems to be very poised. And like I say, the energy levels have been very high. Like I say, a very great company all round. So looking forward to what comes next.
Okay, so for me the most interesting thing here at the Stockholm FinTech Week that I learned about was the huge potential of stablecoins and central bank digital currencies. And that's not only for payments and for the speed and cheaper international transfers, but also the idea of enabling investors to have larger control over their assets at any time, basically revolutionizing asset management by enabling people to see where their money is actually at work. That's something that I think is super interesting, and that's the main takeaway for me here. Yes.
Great. So my takeaways from this event was I was watching a lot of talks in Web3 sector, and something that we are missing very much is on the trust level. We have a lot of different institutions working with each other on that level, but the trust is not there yet. We have a lot of restrictions that are not matching each other, a lot of regulation issues, and also from the banking system, blockchain is not yet adopted so much. So the hope is here that we can keep on these conversations open, talk more about it, and try to come closer to each other and try to understand each other, stand in each other's shoes, and make the new innovations on blockchain possible.
So, takeaway from the Stockholm FinTech Week. I've been here last year actually, and it feels like the fintech in Stockholm is much more mature. It seems like that we are discussing real matters like rails, but also everything that is beyond payments. So payment is not just moving transaction from A to B. We're actually talking use cases and value-added services and different rails, how they impact. So very, very vibrant here in Stockholm. I'm happy to be here.
So the key takeaways from the Stockholm FinTech Week for me personally would be that there are a lot of discussions around the possibilities and the customer value that we can bring, that the fintechs can bring, that the banks or more traditional financial suppliers can bring. But there are, a couple of common, denominators in the discussions that we can hear and see, and it's been some super great panels, and it's getting much closer to the customer value with the AI that we're talking about, giving the possibility. I would much rather talk about AI and the possibilities that give than blockchain, for example. Blockchain, we have a couple of use cases. With AI, we have tons of use cases. So I think that's super interesting. We're also getting back to the regulation part and more of the standardization part maybe than the regulation. We don't need too many regulations, but we need standardization, so that would be nice. What I also think is interesting that we had several speakers who has either had this as a main topic or at least mentioned it, is the type of insecurities, meaning the security focus is even more relevant today than what it was before. And then you have the blockchain. Then blockchain may become into play. But how to make sure that the counterpart that you're talking to or that you have an interaction with is the right counterpart. So the security part, super important, and that's, I think, where also possibly the more traditional banks come into play again. So assisting the fintechs, cooperating, collaborating on types of added value that we can offer the market with the know your customer, with the security focus that we have and done for 160 years, but then also the fintechs and agility they bring. Super exciting and much faster, much closer to market today than just 1, 2, 3 years ago. So super interesting 2 days.
AI is growing, what we know. I reflected to one comment in one of the discussions that, we can't forget customer at the end. One thing is that we are all here and gathering and talking and doing our pitches, but like customer is still who is making the decision and why we are all here. We are all here for customers. So we can't forget ultimate goal why we are doing it.
I think we're tapping into a super interesting world where we have a chance to do things differently and work differently all together with each other. There are tons of regulations. There are AI coming on that will completely change the whole way we're working. But I think that we should embrace it. I think that we should be there. I think that we should totally kill our darlings and look upon our roles and what we're contributing to within our industry in a completely new way. So open your mind, bring down those walls, and open your mind, and you will be fine.